I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into the mysterious and miraculous world of near-death experiences with an amazing author. His name is Jaime Reyes. He has written a powerful book. It is called The Lazarus Syndrome: Why Can't I Die? A collection of resuscitations, revivals, NDEs, and OBEs, featuring a memoir, including the Vietnam War. This captivating book explores real-life stories of people declared dead who revived minutes, hours, or even days later, along with insights into near-death and out-of-body experiences. Join us as this author shares his extraordinary journey and the profound impact of these events on his life. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here once again on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Jaime, great to see you. Welcome back to Spotlight, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about your inspiration for your book and your personal experiences with the Lazarus Syndrome.
All right. The main inspiration is that uh, a few, about a year ago, I heard about the Lazarus Syndrome. I didn't know anything about it before. And OBEs and NDEs have become a popular subject recently. And I thought, whoa, I've been through a lot of this. And it goes back to my birth. First of all, I was stillborn.
Hmm.
Uh, I was declared dead at birth, and they brought me back using antiquated CPR methods. And when I started writing the book, I wanted to find cases that were similar to mine because I don't want to write about me specifically. I wanted case histories that some of them would match mine, but if more believable, I could find one or two that were similar. And I found one that was almost identical to my birth, Pablo Picasso, the Spanish artist. He was also declared stillborn at birth, and
Hmm.
they brought him back exactly the way they brought me back. With me, uh, when they got me out, finally I was stuck. I weighed 11 pounds, and
Hmm.
my mother was small, and I got stuck on the way out, and I suffocated. When the midwife finally got me out, she told my mother the baby's dead, and they threw me aside like a lump of flesh. And but my mother said she kept staring at me through tearful eyes, and she saw my pinky twitch, and she started yelling, "He's alive! He's alive!" And they started working on me. By then, they had called the doctor because of the difficult birth, because he's the one that declared me dead. And they started folding me like an accordion, head to toe, and blowing cigar smoke into my face. I don't know that helped, but that was what they did. And in my research, I found Pablo Picasso, and they brought him back exactly the same way. His uncle, who happened to be a doctor, but doctors in 1881 didn't deliver babies, only midwives. But he was there for the event, and the babe they declared the baby dead. But he went over to take a good look at and he saw a twitch, and he started giving him CPR back and forth
Hmm.
with the head and toe, and blowing cigar smoke in his face. Now
Amazing.
that was 1881, and 60 some years later, they're still using the same system to bring back babies. There was no progress. Now
Yeah.
there is progress because I found out in my research. See, my research took me into different tributaries of information. I found out about OBEs, NDEs, uh, uh, taphophobia, which is the fear of being buried alive, uh, and uh, and also what was being done about this stillbirths. And I found out that there are 400,000 births a year.
Hmm.
I don't know if that meant the world or the U.S. I think it might have been the U.S. And 10% are declared dead at birth. That's
Hmm.
40,000 babies. So someone came up with a process of trying to avoid that or coming up with different methods. They called it uh, natal resuscitation.
Hmm.
And they're doing things differently now than they did back when I was born. And that's how it started. And I've been doing so much research. There's so much information out there. I got into AI, and my publisher wanted me to add information about me. So I wrote about my experience in Vietnam, my experience as a police officer, because I have not only escaped, I've been declared dead several times. In 2017, I flatlined twice, had a massive heart attack, and I was declared dead twice. Um, and I've had a lot of near misses. Uh, in Vietnam, as a police officer, uh, I went to do an eviction, and I didn't wait for my backup. It was stupid. I knocked at the door and I told the gentleman he had to leave. And he came out and he had a shotgun. He pointed right to my face and said, "You ain't taking my house." And I said, "Whoa." And I put my hands up. I had a gun in a shoulder holster, but a gun in hand is 1,000 times better than a gun in holster or pocket or waistband or anywhere else. So I started backing away and saying gently, "Sir, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. You can keep your house. I'm backing up." When I got a good distance, I called for SWAT and backup, and we took the house, and the man gave up peacefully. No shots were fired. So, but if I had gone for my gun, he would blow my head off
Yeah,
because all he had to do was pull the trigger. I would have to
right,
hit the holster release and pull it out and point it at him. Several steps. All he had to do was one step. He already had it in my face.
right.
I've had other situations, but I'll leave them to the people that read the book. Um,
Amazing. De-escalating worked. It likely saved your life in that situation. Let's talk a little bit about your research. Obviously, you're an investigator. You've worked in law enforcement most of your career, so you know how to drill down and find out the facts and what matters. When you were doing your research, was there a case that really astonished you that you found absolutely amazing?
well, quite a few of them. The one anybody can get this on YouTube. This is not just what I wrote about it, but it's also available in YouTube. The gentleman's name was Justin Smith.
Mhm.
He was at a bar, and in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and I own some property there, so I know the place. He was at a bar, and it was snowing so hard that the bartender was gonna close us. Everybody go home, and he started. He wasn't far from his home, so he walked home. Started walking home, but he slipped and fell head first into a snowbank,
Mm.
and he didn't make it home that night. And his father in the morning was looking for him, couldn't find him. He called the girlfriend, and she was looking for him too. They're trying to call him. So he went out in his car searching, and when he saw 2 feet sticking out of a snowbank,
Mm.
that was his son. He had been there since 9:30 at night. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning. He had been there about 12 hours.
See.
This man was frozen stiff, and he was dead for over 12 hours. He called rescue, but when they got there, it's too late. He was frozen stiff. But they took him out, and they didn't do CPR because he was dead.
Right.
But they called the hospital, going to take him in, and they took their time when the man was dead, so they didn't bother rushing. And when he got to the hospital, the doctor would not declare him dead because most doctors do not like to declare people dead unless they warm up the body. I
Mm.
don't know why, but that's a practice the doctors have. And so they warmed him up by exchanging his blood, putting it through a machine to warm it up and putting it back in warm. And as the blood warmed up, the man began to twitch, and so he's alive. Now he did lose uh, his pinkies, and he lost all his toes to frostbite, but they brought him back. He is living a fine life, and he was in his 20s at the time, and he's doing quite well. I thought this is amazing. He was dead
Amazing.
for hours and hours. And there's another Smith, John Smith. He's a boy that was from Guatemala who was adopted by the Smith family. He's also on in YouTube. Uh, and he fell into he was ice skating in a pond near his home, and he and two friends fell through the ice, and the two other boys were rescued at in time. They were flashing around, and they got those two out, but they couldn't get the other boy John because he was buried in the muck in the whatever is in the bottom of the soft sand in the bottom of the pond. And he was there for about 20 or 30 minutes. And they also declared him dead. So they took him to they were taking him to but they didn't bother with CPR because it was no sense. But when he got to the hospital, uh, his parents came in and his mother, very devout Catholic, she started praying for him and watching him. And he was dead.
Mm.
But something happened. He came back to life. It's spontaneous resuscitation. Nobody had done much to him. So they started by he was in a coma for quite a while. They thought he would end up as a vegetable. But it took him a while to recover completely, but he did recover completely and he ended up going to college. I think he became a minister because his family, his mother especially, gave all the credit to heavenly intervention. None of them gave much credit to the doctors. Uh, so there's a
Yep.
question there. Do you thank heavenly intervention, or do you thank the skill of doctors?
Or maybe both.
I maybe
Maybe the
both, a little
doctors are
both.
put there by the
Yeah.
grace of God.
Well,
Maybe that, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Amazing
as for my
stories.
last book, I'm not much of a believer, so I don't have an invitation to to heaven right now.
Well, you
But
never know.
I
There's
don't
still
know. But
time to
nobody
repent
knows.
and change. You never know.
Yeah,
I'm teasing.
something might happen.
Yeah.
But also another incident for me. Um, I have relatives in New York, and every summer my brother and I would go to spend time with a cousin that lived in the Bronx, and his mother would took us to Coney Island one time,
Mm.
and we got on the roller coaster. But I sat with my aunt, who was a little bit chunkier than I was. I was 9 years old and nothing but bones. And when they put the seatbelt around us, it held her tight, but it didn't hold me tight. I was loose, but who worries about seatbelts? This is back in 54, 50,
Right.
Uh, so the roller coaster goes up and then has that massive drop at first.
Yeah.
And when the roller coaster went down, I went up and I left my seat. And my aunt, fortunately, she was quick enough to grab me by my ankles and pull me back down. And she she held on and squeezed me for the entire ride. She wouldn't let me go. And
See.
uh and she was crying, but I thought it was fun. But
Yeah.
what the hell did I know? 9 years old. So
Amazing.
that's another close call. I've had a few of them.
Exactly. Well, that's a great roller coaster. The Cyclone at Coney Island. I've
The
ridden it
cyclone, that is
many
correct. That is the
times.
name,
It's
the
awesome.
cyclone. Yes.
Without a seatbelt, that is a near-death experience for sure
Yeah.
because you are
Uh,
flying all over that ride.
yeah.
Jaime's books rather, are filled with wonderful stories like these. It is called The Lazarus Syndrome. Why Can't I Die? A collection of resuscitations, revivals, NDEs, and OBEs, featuring a memoir including the Vietnam War. It is a captivating book that explores real life stories of people declared dead, only to be revived minutes, hours, or even days later. You'll also find insights into near death and out of body experiences. In the book, on these pages, Jaime shares his extraordinary journey and the profound impact of these events on his life. Highly recommended. The links are below this interview. Jaime, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
You're welcome. I hope to do it again for my next book
Well, I look
when it
forward to that,
happens.
my friend. Absolutely. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.